one of the changes we made was the medical card is now good for 3 years instead of 1 year. And the reason a medical card is beneficial is that if you do have an ailment and you want to be a patient, it's a lower price for the marijuana. So you can still go to the same store, buy the same product, but you're going to pay a much lower tax, probably 6 to 9% less tax to keep your medical card. Recreationally, it means that you're going to be able to go buy, if you're over 21 years old, you can go buy in any of the current dispensaries. You can start doing that February the 6th if they have product. So on February 6th, you can go buy Flora Farms, Route 66, Easy Mountain, any of the local dispensaries around here. There's several of them. Terabus, anyway, there's several of them. And you'll pay a higher price. It also means that municipalities can either choose to opt out and say we don't want a recreational dispensary, or if they want them, they can tax it an additional 1, 2, 3%, up to 3%. So they can get some additional tax dollars out of it, of additional 3%. And that 6% additional tax, this is all on top of retail, that 6% additional tax would go to Veterans Health Care and Workforce Development, the Public Defender's Office, which is sorely underfunded, and drug and alcohol education and treatment, which is also very necessary. And that'll keep underage marijuana and alcohol rates lower than they are right now, we hope. Well, it basically has to do with collecting unemployment. So if you are fired just for having a medical card, you shouldn't be. So you're going to be able to collect unemployment, and you might have a claim against your employer. But if you're intoxicated at work, whether it's opiates, marijuana, alcohol, this is not a pass for you. You're still going to be disciplined, terminated. You can't do that. You can't go to work impaired. It doesn't matter what it is. So we do not protect people going to work impaired. If they go to work impaired, they're still disciplined. There's no protection for them. The problem with marijuana, of course, is that it stays in your bloodstream and in your hair for weeks. So somebody could test positive for marijuana and be completely sober because the high only lasts a few hours. So somebody could be around it where it's pretty heavy smoking around them, or they could be smoking on a Friday night, Saturday night, be completely sober on Monday morning and not be impaired, but still test positive for marijuana. So I think employers have to be careful that they do a sobriety type test. Anybody they suspect that's impaired at work, they need to do a sobriety type test, regardless of what drug it is, legal or illegal. Are they acting funny? Are they sleepy? Are they laughing? Are they can't focus? They need to run through that list of questions. And HR professionals have those lists. Run through that whole list and then do a drug screen, a full drug screen, and see what pops up. Marijuana arrests in Missouri are still half of all drug arrests. Drug arrests in Missouri ought to be 100% fentanyl, methamphetamine, cocaine, heroin, that type of stuff. They shouldn't be wasting their time on marijuana, so this will really free them up, hopefully. And we've got a shortage of law enforcement. So this is going to be really helpful, I think, to them. That's another fix. There will not be any 4 a.m. SWAT raids just because of marijuana. Judges will not be able to give a search warrant for a middle of the night no-knock warrant. So no-knock warrants are not going to happen just for marijuana anymore because it's not a top priority, and we've put that into the Constitution. So they can't no-knock warrant just on a marijuana charge. This does not legalize public use. You can't drive around smoking marijuana, or anybody in the vehicle smoking marijuana, and you can't be in a public place smoking marijuana. There is an ability to have a consumption lounge, but you can't sell alcohol at that consumption lounge. So if somebody wants to have a party where it's a marijuana party, like at a bar, the bar can't sell liquor that night. They can't sell beer. They can't sell any sort of alcoholic beverage that night, but they could have a marijuana party. But first, the municipality has to pass a city ordinance to allow it. So that's probably going to happen in St. Louis, Kansas City, doubtful anywhere else. A serious answer on what do you think's next for Missouri? I think next for Missouri is just to see how this goes and see if it needs to be tweaked. I mean, nothing's perfect. There is no law out there that's perfect. They all have to be interpreted. We just have to see how it gets interpreted, see how it goes, and then see if the legislature can tweak it without violating the Constitution if there are problems that arise. We're not expecting any. We had 19 other states to learn from. So we borrowed the best from the other 19 states. So we think that we've addressed pretty much every issue we could think of, and we spent a lot of time in drafting committees week after week talking about this issue and that issue, gun rights, et cetera. And so we, fingers crossed, we're hoping that this is going to be a big blessing for Missouri, and that it's be a big blessing for the people that are going to get their records expunged, that have a criminal record that shouldn't for possession of marijuana. So we're hoping that that's going to be a big deal, a real big deal for employers, because there'll be a lot more people that don't have that on their record, and we're hoping employers will understand that these people don't have to put it on their resume anymore. They don't have to acknowledge that they were arrested anymore once it gets expunged. So one of the fallacies I heard yesterday was a lot of people thought that we put CRT into this constitutional amendment. There's no CRT. There's no critical race theory in this constitutional amendment. We have an equity officer that just makes sure that poor people that want to get a license, a license that's affordable, more affordable, actually are poor people, that they actually do qualify, that they're actually in control of the license, and that they stay in control of the license. So the equity officer is just there to make sure that it's not just some rich person behind them using them as a straw man and taking all the money. So that's what the equity officer is. But a lot of people saw the word equity, which used to be a good word, but they saw the word equity and they thought, well, that means critical race theory. We didn't even know what critical race theory was when we wrote the amendment. It was just to make sure that poor people that won the lottery to get a license to grow or sell actually were the people that maintained control of their license and were able to navigate the system and had a fair chance to succeed. Now with recreational, you can apply to grow. You have to register with the state, but you can grow, I think it's 6 flowering plants just with a rec license. You can give some of it away, Christmas presents, birthday presents, you can give some of it away. You can't sell it, but you can grow it. But you just cannot sell it because it hasn't been tested. You don't want that in the stream of commerce because it's an untested product. Whereas all the licensed growers, it's tested by a lab that's been approved by the Department of Health, and you're getting a safe product. The Missouri medical marijuana market last year was responsible for 1 in every 10 jobs. New jobs. 1 in every 10 new jobs that were created in Missouri were medical marijuana jobs. So it's a big industry. We're almost 10,000 employees in the industry right now. So with recreational, that number is going to go to probably 20 or 30,000 employees within a year. So you'll have probably 30,000 people employed in the industry within a year. In addition, the other economic opportunity is people that will apply for licenses to grow and sell. And those are going to be lottery licenses. So there'll be 144 of those that roll out over the next couple of years. And so people that couldn't afford to build a $10 million cultivation facility will be able to afford to grow 250 plants in a smaller facility, a barn, just a smaller facility, a smaller number of lights, smaller utility bill, and try to get a leg up. So we put that in there so that people that, disabled veterans, people that have a low net worth or a low income will be able to partner with somebody that has money, but the low income person is in control of the license, has to have a majority of the ownership. You can't go borrow the money from a bank, but they'll be able to go find a rich friend or a relative that wants to loan them the money or just provide the money for a minority interest. So the poor person will have the majority and the control. One of the provisions that we put in the constitutional amendment, and this is important for healthcare providers and lawyers, doctors, nurses, anybody that's involved in the medical marijuana market or the recreational marijuana market cannot be disciplined by their licensing board, or for lawyers, the Missouri Supreme Court or the Missouri Bar Association, for giving advice to these industries.
Okay. Yeah, that would be huge. Okay. Yeah. I think that's all that I have.
All right.
We'll get this on for midday.
Great. Great.